Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Big League Dreaming, the podcast, the show about fulfilling your dreams and taking it to the next level. Looking forward to today's episode. Us four will be breaking down our 2023 Major League Baseball predictions, division winners, and our World Series. Hit them with the intro song, Ty.
I was a kid. Oh yeah, I was big league dreaming. For as long as I live, always, I'm big league dreaming.
I never got to bat in the major leagues. I'd have liked to have that chance, just once. To stare down a big league pitcher. Make him think you know something he doesn't. Chance to squint at a sky so blue that it hurts your eyes just to look at. To feel the tingle in your arm as you connect with the ball. To run the bases, stretch a double into a triple, and flop face first. Wrap your arms around the bag. That's my wish for Kinsella.
Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Big League Dreaming, the podcast. We really appreciate it. I'm your co-host, Zach Gonzalez, also joined by Ty and Zane Gonzalez, as well as our dad, John Gonzalez. And this is the prediction show. We're all ramped up, excited for opening day this upcoming Thursday, March 30th, 2023. And we'll be giving our predictions of division winners and who we think will be in the World Series and win the World Series. We're also going to cover the 4 major awards given out by Major League Baseball. So I'll cover the Rookie of the Year award, who won last year, who I think will win this year. Ty will be covering the MVP award. Zane will have the Cy Young award. And our dad will cover Manager of the Year award. All right, so let's get right into my predictions. So I guess I'll start with the National League. All right, National League East. So last year, the Braves and the Mets tied with the exact same record, 101 wins, 61 losses. For this year, I think it'll definitely be the Braves again, winning the division. I know Mets will be close. Obviously, the Phillies had the good run last year. But I think that loss, having Edwin Diaz out this year, that'll really kind of elevate the Braves a little bit to win that division. For the Central, the St. Louis Cardinals won last year with 93 wins. I think they're a lock to win the Central again this year. They have a lot of talent on that team, a lot of young talent, especially with Jordan Walker being promoted, and he's going to be their big opening day prospect with the Cardinals this year. Maybe the Brewers could pull something off, but I feel like the Cardinals are just too tough for that Central division. And then the NL West, last year the Dodgers won the division, 111 wins, which is just crazy. I think the Dodgers will take a step back a little bit this year, and I actually have the Padres winning the West this year. I'm big on the Padres, that core 4 that they have with Soto, Machado, Tatis. Tatis will miss the first 20 games, but he'll be back on April 20th. And then that massive contract they just signed to Devers too. That's going to be really tough to beat. They're going to murder a lot of pitching staffs this year, so that'll be fun to watch. All right, for the American League, last year the Yankees won the AL East with 99 wins, followed by the Blue Jays. This year, let me think. I'm thinking Blue Jays. If you look at I'm looking at the projections on Fangraphs website. They have the Yankees projected at 89 wins to win the division, but I like the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are finally going to put it together with that core that they have with Vlad, Biggio, Springer, and those guys, Bichette. I think they're finally going to do it. Manoah has some experience, and I could see them definitely winning the East this year. American League Central, last year the Cleveland Guardians won the division with 92 wins. And I'm thinking the Guardians are going to win this division again. Maybe the White Sox, maybe the Twins. I feel like the Twins have a lot of prospects right now. They have, Buxton. If he's healthy, who knows what he can do. Twins could surprise people, but I think the Guardians just have too much young talent, especially on the infield. The infield that the Guardians have is very impressive. And the Guardians have like the number one farm system, I believe, if not definitely top 3. It could be number 1 depending on which publication you're reading. But they have a lot of guys on the way as well. So I like the Guardians for the Central. And the American League West, which is what I follow the closest, Seattle Mariners, of course. Astros won the division last year with 106 wins, which is also crazy that they've, have been this good for this long. And last year, they won the division single-handedly. Mariners had 90 wins. They were the next closest team. I feel like the Mariners just didn't do enough this offseason to close that gap between the Astros, even though the Astros lost their Cy Young Award winner, Justin Verlander, to the Mets. Even though Altuve is going to be out for the first couple months due to the hand injury that he incurred during the World Baseball Classic, I still think the Astros are going to win the American League West. I know the Mariners are going to put up a tough fight, and the Mariners are going to make a run, but I don't see them winning the division. For my World Series, so I think I got to pick the Mariners, guys, right? I think the Mariners are going to have they're built for the postseason with how good that their starting pitching is. Everybody has a little bit more experience. Julio year 2. I like Teoscar in right field. The trade that they got him with the Blue Jays. So I think they'll make a run, and I'm really hoping that they'll go to the World Series this year. On the National League side, I have the Padres going to the World Series. Like I said, I'm big on that core 4 that they have. I think if they get hot late, that offense is just going to be tough to beat. So I actually have Padres, Mariners in the 2023 World Series, and the Padres winning the whole thing. I don't know if the Mariners can do it. So I'm going to go with San Diego. Now, for Rookie of the Year award. So last year, obviously, Julio Rodriguez won the American League Rookie of the Year. The National League was won by Michael Harris from the Atlanta Braves. He just beat out his teammate, Spencer Strider, from the Braves for that award. So this year, the 2 prospects, I guess, to watch out for Rookie of the Year. On the American League side, it's going to be Gunnar Henderson. So Gunnar Henderson is an infielder for the Orioles, third base shortstop. This guy has just been on fire. They called him up late last year. He shows that he can produce. I think he kind of stands above everybody else in the American League as far as Rookie of the Year candidates. We'll see. The Astros have Hunter Brown, who pitched at Wayne State. Gotta love supporting those D2 Michigan guys, so I hope he does well this year, despite being on the Astros. And then Anthony Volpe, keep an eye on him with the Yankees, shortstop for them. They've named him their opening day starter. But Gunnar Henderson with the Orioles, infielder, I think he's got it. He's my pick. And then on the National League side, I got Corbin Carroll from the Diamondbacks, who's an outfielder who can just fly. He's going to have a lot of stolen bases. His speed is just insane. He has a little bit of pop, but he's just a pure hitter. He's going to do a lot of fun things for the Diamondbacks. So those are my 2 picks: Corbin Carroll of the Diamondbacks and Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles to win the Rookie of the Year award for 2023. All right, now on to Ty. What you got for us? Predictions and MVP candidates.
Thanks, Zach. It's that time of year again. Opening day is just a couple days away. Yeah, MLB predictions. I'm excited to get into it. Zach, I'm pretty close to your predictions as far as division winners. Disagree with a few. I'm sure you know which ones I disagree with. But yeah, I'm going to get right into it and go with my division winners, who I think is going to win the World Series this year, who I think is going to get into the World Series, and then, I'm going to break down the MVP. So I'm going to start with the AL, and I'm going to go AL West. I think the Angels are going to win the AL West. The favorite is Houston, of course. Houston's just a dominant force. But I think the Angels are going to have a really good year. Ohtani's just year after year getting better and better. Like, he's just becoming unstoppable at this point. Him and Trout, I think, are going to lead the charge and take the West this year. For the Central, like you, Zach, I'm going with the Guardians. That's a pretty weak division, and that's really the only solid team in that division, honestly. I mean, like you said, White Sox could win it, but as far as the Royals, Tigers, and Twins, I don't see any of those teams having a chance. Royals, I think, though, Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have a breakout season. He had a really good rookie season last year, so I'm really excited to see what he can do this year for the Royals. They might, I don't know, they might have a decent year, but coming out of the Central, we have the Guardians. Then rounding out the American League, for the American League East, I have the Blue Jays winning the American League East. Like you said, Zach, I think this is going to be a big year for them. All those players that, Bichette, Vladdy, Biggio, they've all kind of been in the MLB for a handful of years now. I mean, it was really exciting to watch them go through the minor league system all together and then finally get to the show together, and it was fun to watch them make some noise. But at this point, they are some of the better players in the league right now. And I think the Blue Jays are going to have some magic this year, and I definitely see them taking the East over the Yankees too, which it might be shocking to some people, but I think the Blue Jays are going to have a big year. Moving on to the National League. National League West, I just have to go with the Dodgers. Even though they lost a few players, they are just year after year winning like 100 games every year, and they're always dominant. I know you said the Padres are going to be really good this year, Zach, and I agree with that, but I think the Dodgers just win so many games every year. I find it hard for them to not win the division again, especially because this year they have the new format where they won't be playing the Padres a ton of games like usually. So it's going to be a more balanced schedule for everyone this year, and I think that's going to play into the Dodgers' favorite to where they don't have to match up against the Padres like, I don't know the exact number, 20, 30 times a year or whatever the crazy number was. I'm really looking forward to that change in the schedule. I think that will help out the Mets as well because the Mets have a pretty tough division this year. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the East. And NL East, I have to go with my Mets. Yes, Zach, they lost Diaz, and I think that will play a little bit of a factor. But, I mean, they got Verlander this year, and I think he's just going to be outstanding for the Mets. Scherzer, I hope he stays healthy. He's always on point. So that's going to be tough. A tough rotation to go up against. Every series, they're going to have somebody that's going to, I mean, you're going to get an ace every single series with the Mets, and then their offense is just improving year after year. I'm excited to see some of the younger guys this year on the Mets, Brett Beatty and the catcher they have, Navarez. He's going to start in the minors this year, but I think give him a couple months, he'll be on the MLB roster. I'm excited to see those two play and see what they can do. Mets' future looks really bright with those two guys. It kind of reminds me almost of like 2006 when you had Reyes and David Wright coming through the minor league system. I think Beatty and Navarez are going to be the same kind of thing once they make their way to the show. They're going to have that young energy, that excitement behind the fan base, and I'm really excited to see those guys get their shot. I hope they get called up. I know Beatty, I think he's starting on the opening day roster, so it's going to be excited to see what those guys do this year and the years to come. But out of the East, I can't go against my Mets, so I'm taking the New York Mets to win the NL East, which a lot of people are. But that's going to be a tough division. I mean, the Braves, like you said, Zach, are stacked as usual. And the Phillies are going to be really tough this year, especially with making that big addition with Trey Turner. We all saw what he did in the World Baseball Classic. I mean, he's like the number one fantasy baseball player right now. I mean, he was going number one in everyone's drafts over the last couple weekends. He's going to have a big monster year, and I think he's going to do really good in Philadelphia. So look out for the Phillies too, but I'm going with my Mets. And then to round out the Central, I don't know too much about the Central. I do watch the Cubs quite a bit, just because I like the Cubs. I like Wrigley. So I don't know too much about the Central. I know you said the Cardinals, Zach, will probably win, almost like a lock. But I'm going to throw a little curveball out there, and I think the Brewers are going to win the Central. It might sound a little crazy, but I think the Brewers are always a tough team, especially come September. They have something about them in that stadium. Milwaukee just randomly will go on random 9, 10, 11 game win streaks throughout the season. And I think they're going to win the Central this year. It's been Cardinals a lot, but Brewers usually get in with a wild card, or they're really close there at the end. I think they're going to make that push in the last month of the season. And I think they're going to win the division and shock some people. So I'm going with the Brewers for the Central. For my World Series, I'm going New York Mets, of course. And I'm going New York Mets versus the Toronto Blue Jays. I think this is the year for the Blue Jays. The past few years, they've been knocking on the door. They've been getting in as the wild card. They got in as the wild card last year. And I think this is going to be their big year. I'm really excited to watch the Toronto Blue Jays this year and see what they do. I think Vladdy and Bichette are going to have monster years. I think Bichette's going to have an amazing year, and I think Blue Jays win 100 games for sure. So I think with them having that young squad, that, you know, that passion, they have that fire, they have that grit about them. They're really exciting to watch. I can see that playing to their favorite in the playoffs, especially against some of the veteran teams that have the more experience, like the Yankees and the Astros, of course, are going to get in. Even though I said the Angels will win the West, the Astros will sneak their way in as a wild card. I mean, it's the Houston Astros. But yeah, I think the Blue Jays will get into the World Series, and I think they're going to face the Mets. And I think this is finally the year the Mets do it. Yep. And who knows? Maybe Diaz will come in during the playoffs. I don't know. I think he's supposed to be out for the year, so I don't know if they would just rush him back in like that for the playoffs. But yeah, I think it's Mets Blue Jays, and I think the Mets take it in 6. So I'm really excited. Mets have a lot of hype around them though, which kind of makes me nervous. I feel like they do a lot better on the years where no one's kind of talking about them as much. Going back to like 2006 and even 2015 when they made it to the World Series and lost to the Royals. No one was really talking about them that much. And they had a great staff that year. I mean, Syndergaard was coming up in his prime. Harvey was dealing. You had DeGrom. I mean, that rotation was one of the best I've seen in the last decade. I mean, all guys throwing consistent hundreds and just dominant strikeout pitchers. But no one was really talking about that team that much. Obviously, they were come playoff time. But that's the only thing that worries me about the Mets. There's so much hype around them right now, especially with that big signing, Sengun, I think his name is, Kodai Sengun. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's got the ghost fork. So I don't know about that signing. We'll see. I don't know much about him. It's just a lot of hype. So that's the only thing that makes me nervous about the Mets, just the hype. But I have faith that they will pull out the World Series 2023 victory. I'm calling it here now. Put in your bets. Mets versus Blue Jays. Make the bets. It's going to happen. Rounding out with my MVP, I'm going to go over the MVP award. For MVP award, American League, it's going to be Ohtani. And if not Ohtani, I think Bichette. I think Bichette is really going to have just a huge year. But I'm going with Ohtani as long as he can stay healthy and just play consistently like he has been the past 3-4 years or however long he's been in the league. He's just he's a one-of-a-kind athlete, one-of-a-kind baseball player. He's so fun to watch. I would love to go watch him live one day. Even just take some batting practice. I mean, he just smokes the ball. And it's just crazy that he's a starting pitcher, too. So I feel like he can't not win the MVP if he has a really good year. I mean, to be able to pitch at that level and hit at that level is just still mind-blowing. And I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for that. I feel like what he did when he first started out in the league, everyone was like, wow, we haven't seen this since Babe Ruth, and oh my gosh, a pitcher and a hitter that can do both. But that kind of like fizzled off a little bit. No one really talks about, I mean, they still talk about it, but not as much. It's just like, oh yeah, Ohtani, he's amazing. But like, I don't think he gets enough credit as he should, which is crazy to say because he's one of the best players and he's talked about all the time. But to be able to do that is just, it's still mind-blowing to me that he can do that. Pitch and hit in the major leagues. It's unbelievable. I think if he has a solid year, no way he doesn't win the MVP in the American League. And if he doesn't win the MVP, second place or winning it is going to be Bichette. Yep, so watch out for Bo Bichette. And then for the National League, Zach, like you said, the Padres are going to be a good team this year. They're going to be a tough team. I'm going with Juan Soto. So Juan Soto, he started off really shaky last year. The first few months, he was striking out a lot. And then once he moved over to San Diego, he kind of settled in and had a really good year. I think now that he's settled into San Diego, I think he's going to have a great year. I think he's going to win the MVP. So yeah, those are my predictions for the MLB 2023 this season. I'm excited to see it pan out. I'm excited to go back to this video at the end of the year and prove my predictions will be right. Mets, Blue Jays, World Series. Mets are winning it all. Now I'm going to pass it off to Zane. And Zane, give us your predictions. Let's go.
All right. It's the best time of the year. Opening day is just around the corner. It should be a fun year. We'll see how it goes with all the new rules and the pitch clock and the ban of shifts. So it should be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. I think at the end of the day, people aren't really going to notice much has changed other than the occasional, ball here, pitch clock violation, strike there, pitch clock violation. It seemed like the minor leagues, got acclimated pretty easily as time went on. So I think about a month in, people won't even notice anymore. So that'll be interesting to see. But it's time to get some predictions in. I'm going to start with my division winners. I'll start in the American League. I'm going to agree with Ty. I'll say Toronto is going to be my favorite, as much as I would love to say the Red Sox. But, Red Sox, I think this is kind of more of a bridge year for them. They don't expect them to really compete, probably finish in the fourth place spot. Realistically, if they do get in the playoffs, it'll be a wild card. But I got Toronto winning the AL East. AL Central, I'm going to go the Chicago White Sox. I'm gonna say they're going to get some really good pitching out of Dylan Cease, and I think them having a new manager is going to kind of spark that clubhouse a little bit. So I'm going to say the Chicago White Sox are going to come out and win the AL Central. It's a weaker division. They're not going to have to play the Guardians as much with the new balanced schedule. So I could see them going out and surprising a lot of teams, and it could honestly come down to the last week of the season. But neither Chicago or Cleveland's going to be good enough to where if they don't win the division, that they'll get a wild card spot. So it's going to come down to the last week of the season for the AL Central, I think. It's definitely between Chicago or Cleveland there. In the AL West, I'm going to go with, I'm going to say, I like Seattle, I like Houston. I like what Ty was saying about the Angels, but I just don't think the Angels have all the pieces. Texas is right there, added a lot of good arms. But I'm going to go with Houston. I think they're going to come out on top. Dusty Baker seems like he has a well-oiled machine going on there. Yeah, they lost Verlander, but, the Astros have proved time and time again that they can develop talent as well as add talent in the offseason very well. So I think Houston wins that division again. Seattle will probably get the wild card. And then if we go in the NL in the East, I really like Philadelphia, mainly because I like watching Bryce Harper play, and so he's one of my go-to favorite players. So I'm going to go Philadelphia. I think they added some good pieces around the clubhouse. So the Mets and the Braves, the NL East is going to be a dogfight this year. I think I think similar to last year, they're going to get 3 teams out of that division into the playoffs. But I think Philadelphia comes out on top to win the division. And then in the NL Central, I like what Ty was saying about Milwaukee. They're kind of a sleeper team. I don't think it's going to be, as runaway with the Cardinals as people are thinking. So I'm going to go with Ty and agree, say the Milwaukee Brewers. And then in the NL West, that one's going to be a fight between the Dodgers and the Padres. I'm definitely going to lean more towards the Dodgers. They've just been killing it year after year after year. With Dustin May coming back, I think is going to be a huge asset to them. He had Tommy John last year. I think they were saying he's going to start the second game of the season. So you got Julio Urias, Dustin May, Clayton Kershaw. They have a really good rotation. Walker Buehler, it's just insane. So they'll probably win 100 games, win the division. As far as who I think is going to come out of each side, I'm going to say in the NL, I think the Dodgers are going to make it to the World Series. And then I'd say for the AL, it's probably going to be, I like Houston again, but, Ty might have convinced me. I'm going to go Toronto. So Toronto and Dodgers are my prediction for the World Series, and I am going to have the Dodgers winning. I think they're going to come out on top, similar to the 2020 year. They're going to run it back. I think after the drama has kind of blown over with Trevor Bauer and him going over to Japan, I think they kind of rein it in and, seal down another championship. I think that's going to be Dodgers in probably 5 or 6 games. But those are my predictions for the World Series and who's going to win each division. To kind of go on Cy Young, for the NL, we'll start with the NL Cy Young. I'd say I'm going to go with Spencer Strider from Atlanta. That guy's been really, really good last year, and I think he's going to really pick up where he left off. He's a young guy, so he's going to be able to, tack on some really good outings and go pretty far into games. I think another guy to look out for is Corbin Burns in Milwaukee. For the AL, I'm going to go, I know Dylan Cease is probably more of a favorite. Christian Javier is another good name to get thrown around. I think Ohtani wins the Cy Young this year in the AL. I don't think he wins the MVP this year, but I think he does really, really well on the mound to where he wins a Cy Young. I don't know if his bat's going to really be able to complement it as much to win the MVP, but I like Ohtani to win the Cy Young in the AL this year. Like Ty was saying, what he's doing is insane. It's must-watch baseball every time that dude plays. What he's doing at the level he's doing it at it's just unfathomable. I mean, what that guy has put together. So, those are my predictions for this year, 2023. It's going to be a great season right around the corner. Looking forward to it. Dad, what are your predictions for this year?
Thank you, Zane. Thank you so much for your input and your thoughts, your projections. I know you just got back from your baseball game. Congratulations on winning last night. Zane is coaching at Indiana University at South Bend. So we're proud of him and all of his efforts. Thanks to the other guys for joining the show as well. Zach, who's based out in North Carolina, and then Ty, who is based here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, like I am. If you made it this far to Big League Dreaming, the podcast, we want to say thank you for tuning in. This is a podcast with a dad and his 3 sons talking about baseball, and it's a way for us to stick together. So that's why we started the podcast a couple years ago, and that's why we continue to interview people in the industry to talk about trends, how to get to the next level, fulfilling your dreams and taking it to the next level. So it is all about this great game of baseball. That's why we're talking about our favorite time of the year, right? It's the start of a new season. It's upon us. I can't wait. It'll start officially on Thursday, March 30th, with every single team for the first time, I don't know in how long, playing on opening day. Yes, all of Major League Baseball teams, all 30, will be playing on opening day, and it'll be a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of drama. There'll be tons of baseball on TV. You can listen to the MLB app and listen on the radio. It is our favorite time of the year. I was having fun talking to Ty yesterday about how he was going to grill out, and in Michigan, that's it could be pretty cold out to do that. I have photos of when the kids were little. Opening day has always been a fun time for all of us. In fact, the photo that I have, I think when Zach was really little, of Zach, I think I was wearing a White Sox coat at the time. I know, how could a Tigers fan be rooting for the White Sox? What was I thinking back in the 90s? I know what it was. It was Frank Thomas. I was a big Frank Thomas fan, which I've mentioned a couple times on the show. But anyway, let's get to all the predictions and our predictions for this coming season. Let me recap everyone and where they're at. Then I'll give you mine, and then I'm going to run down my thoughts for Manager of the Year. Okay, so that's the format. I'll run down everyone's selections so everyone knows who's got what. Keep us honest, right? See which Gonzalez can predict the results for the 2023 MLB season. Okay, let's start with the American League East. Zach has Toronto, Ty has Toronto, and Zane has Toronto. All, makes perfect sense. I think there's a big excitement for the Blue Jays. In fact, MLB The Show just ran their projections. They did a whole season with the latest results, and they took the Blue Jays to win 108 games this year and take first place in the American League East. Fangraphs, on the other hand, doesn't have any baseball team winning 100 games in the 2023 season, which I think is really interesting, right? So, but anyway, the Blue Jays seems to be the favorite. I'm going to go against the grain. There's got to be one person, right? That's going to be me. I'm going to take the New York Yankees. So the Yankee fans out there will love it. Everyone else will hate it. That's the way it goes when you're wearing the pinstripes, right? In the American League Central, MLB The Show has, the White Sox winning with 87 wins, which seems about right. The number of wins that I don't think the division winner here will get even close to 90 wins. I mean, it's just such a weak division. That's where my Tigers play. But Zach has the Guardians winning. Ty has the Guardians. Zane has the White Sox. And I have the Guardians. Yeah, I'm going to take the Guardians as well. I just think they are the team to beat, the most talented overall. A great young squad. I think the Guardians will eke it out at the end. I think Zane might have said it's going to come down to the last week of the season. That's pretty obvious. I mean, these teams, Guardians, White Sox, Twins, all bundled up there. Royals, Tigers, no chance whatsoever. And I can say it as a Tigers fan. In the American League West, MLB The Show says the Astros will get 96 wins. Fangraphs says that Astros will get 89 wins. And it's going to be a battle. I mean, this is definitely a tough division. Even the Rangers are squeaking in as a possible wild card. So, but clearly it's been Astros, Angels, Mariners. Everyone's talking about those three teams. Zach, of course, took the Mariners. And Ty took the Angels, big surprise there. But Zane took the Astros, and I will as well. I mean, the Astros, let's just face it, we don't want to talk about Altuve's injury. We don't want to talk about the fact that they don't have Justin Verlander. I mean, this team just knows how to win. They'll figure it out by any means possible. And I don't mean that as a knock against, what. It's just the Astros are that good, right? They seem to reinvent themselves every year, and they'll be back. Astros to win for me in the AL West. Going over to the NL East, I know Braves fans are pretty excited about this year. In fact, MLB The Show has them projected to win 103 games. Fangraph has them to win the division as well at 92 wins. But, the Mets are there, right, Ty? The Phillies, I mean, they're going to be right there. Even the Marlins have battled some games here and there, and have an outside chance to make some noise there with a balanced schedule this year. So, but Zach has Braves winning. Ty, of course, the Mets. Zane has the Philadelphia Phillies. So I think that's interesting. Zach Braves, Ty Mets, Zane Phillies, Zane for his Bryce Harper, Ty for his Mets. Zach, because he lives in the South, is the Braves. But I'm going to go with Zach. Yeah, I think Atlanta has the best overall team in this division, and I think they're going to win it out. And then NL Central, MLB The Show has the Brewers winning. Fangraph has Cardinals winning with high 80s in the win total. Zach took the Cardinals. Ty took the Brewers. Zane took the Brewers. I'm gonna go with the Brewers. Yeah, I agree with Ty and Zane that I think the Brewers will win this NL Central over over the Cardinals, which will be a big surprise because a lot of people are picking the Cardinals to come back and win this division. In the NL West, MLB The Show has the Dodgers with 103 wins. It's interesting because Fangraph only has the Dodgers at 87 wins, which is really interesting. They have the Padres winning it with 90 wins. Zach took the Padres, Ty took the Dodgers, Zane took the Dodgers, and I took the Padres. So I think it's going to come down to that, right? It's going to come down to Padres, Dodgers, and a lot of the attention on the Dodgers. A lot of attention on the Padres because of the power that they have in that lineup. So I think the Padres will win this one pretty easily. MLB The Show has Braves over the Astros in the World Series. Astros over the Jays in the American League. Braves defeating the Dodgers in the NLDS, and then the Braves over the Astros. Zach has Padres over the Mariners. Yeah, Zach, I don't know. I think your Mariners are going to have a little bit of a down season this year. I mean, I know I'm going to root for them. I'm going to watch them just like you. I just don't know if they can repeat the magic from last year. Julio's going to be great. It's going to be fun watching him this year in year number 2. The Padres, I agree. I like that pick. Mariners, I hope they even make the wild card. You're mad at me already. Ty, obviously you're going to take your Mets over anyone, but you have Mets over Blue Jays in 6 games. You know what? I want the Mets to do well. I will watch them as well. I don't know if they're going to make it to the World Series. I just don't know if they have the power to do that over the Padres. Dodgers, Zane has Dodgers over Blue Jays. Looks like Ty has turned Zane into a Blue Jays believer. You know what? The Blue Jays could win it all. I mean, there's no question about it. They have the star power, the potential. They get on a hot streak, and it could happen. The Blue Jays could be in the World Series. The Blue Jays could win this whole thing, right? But Zane, you have the Dodgers over the Blue Jays. I love the fact, Zane, that you have faith in the Dodgers, right? Because they're going to find a way to win too. Then this is a storied team with a storied history. So Zane has Dodgers over Blue Jays in 5. Me? Okay, I'm going to surprise a lot of people here, including myself. I still can't believe I'm saying this. But I think the Padres will make it to the World Series. I think this is their year, no question about it. I think they're going to lose in the World Series. You ready for this? Okay, I think it's the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, somehow the Yankees will make it happen. I think it's finally their turn. How? I don't know. You know, Aaron Judge hit 68, 69, 70 home runs. I don't know how it's going to happen. I just got this feeling that it's the year for the Yankees. So I have Yankees over the Padres in 7 in a dramatic World Series. It's going to come down to it, right? Just Game 7, Yankees over. Yankees will be the underdog against this powerful Padres team. Let's go over some of the choices that everyone took in postseason awards. Rookie of the Year, Zach took Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles. Great pick. He's going to have a great year. Can't wait to watch him. And then the NL, Corbin Carroll from the Diamondbacks. Another young, exciting player. Both good picks, Zach. In the MVP category, Ty took Shohei Ohtani for the Angels in the American League. you're right, Ty. People underestimate him when it comes to his potential as a 1-2, pitcher-hitter combo. And then in the NL, you have Juan Soto from the Padres. Couldn't agree with you more there. Zane and Cy Young has Ohtani from the Angels in the American League. And he took, Spencer Strider from the Braves. Okay, all right. That wouldn't surprise me a little bit, but okay, I can see that happening. I'm going to go with Max Scherzer. I mean, forget Justin Verlander. I mean, Scherzer just finds a way to get it done too, right? And then for Manager of the Year, this is my category. Since the Padres are the team to beat this year, let's go with Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin will do it in his second full season as manager for the Padres. I think he came so close last year. The Padres defeated the Dodgers. So that was a big shocker. And then, they hung in there, but they lost to the Phillies. And then, so we know what happened there. So, Bob Melvin for the National League Manager of the Year. And then in the American League, so if the Padres, I just jinxed myself, if the Yankees win the World Series over the Padres, finally, Aaron Boone will get a little respect. I don't know if he deserves it or not. He gets ejected more than any other manager. I know that a lot of Yankees fans, are like, hey, come on, let's win this thing. But let's face it. This guy has had an incredible run as a manager for the Yankees since 2018. He's put together 2 100-win seasons, both his first 2 years. He's won the AL East twice. He's finished second twice. So in 5 years, he's either finished first or second. He has a total of 427 wins to 281 losses for a winning percentage of .603. Lost in every single one of those postseasons. But I think 2023 will be his year. Oh, in case you were curious, last year, Terry Francona from the Guardians was the Manager of the Year on the American League. Buck Showalter, the Manager of the Year in the National League last year for the Mets, right? But this year, Bob Melvin, Aaron Boone. All right, we would love to hear your thoughts. Agree, disagree, want to make some points that the other guys brought up. We would love to hear from you. Just email us. Yeah, email us at bigleaguedreaming@gmail.com, bigleaguedreaming@gmail.com. Or, of course, you can always find us, on the social channels. We're on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, of course. If you want to find us on Twitter, all you have to go to is BLDPOD. That's Big League Dreaming Podcast, BLDPOD on Twitter, and we'd love to hear from you. Take care, everyone. Have a great opening day. Let's go Tigers. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mariners. Let's go Red Sox. Oh, yeah, Zane. I don't think your Red Sox, we're in the same boat. The Red Sox maybe have a slight chance to do something this year. Probably not. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great 2023 baseball season. We'll see you soon.